Hello everyone, this is Johannes.
And this is Cinema.
And you are watching Board Gaming Ramblings.
And today we are taking a look at our top 10 essential games.
Yes, top 10 essential games that we kind of think that you should own. So the question then, of course, is what is an essential game? That's the big question. I don't know if we can actually answer it, but we will try. Here is Cinema talking about what is an essential game.
This is a very big question. This is a very deep board
It's like
game.
the meaning of life.
Yes, it is.
And
What's
is
the meaning of games?
Yes.
But this is like not like beginners games, not like my favorite games, but like staples in our collection that I also think should be kind of in your collection.
It's kind of a weird thing because it's kind of like we did like if we could only keep 10 games. This is not that because these are not the only. If I were to keep only 10 games, I might have kept some of these.
Yes, but not all of them.
All of the other, maybe other ones as well. And it's also not like a 10 games to start the collection with because that would be more of a gateway, like top 10 gateway. So this is more of these are 10 games that we think are good enough that you should have them. And also for me, I have chosen games that are either like. Last time we did this, we did like a very different list.
Yes.
We did this a few years ago and did a very different list from each other. So, and people are mostly on your side for what they thought was correct.
Yes, because
I did more of a top 10 games to start the collection at that time. So it's going to be interesting to see where we have landed now.
Yes.
I have different reasons. My games are not like ranked. I have put them in a list from 10 to 1, but it's not like this is the most essential game, this is the least. I have done it in a way that hopefully is not obvious. So to make it more interesting to watch the video.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
Okay, so you agree that I did that, and now
I've done so
we are gonna
myself.
start. Do you want to begin as always, or should we switch it around and I can start?
Okay, what do you want to do? Do you want to begin?
Let's do
for
rock, paper,
once?
scissors.
Okay.
So you choose.
Okay. I'll start.
Okay, you start. The tension is real. In the Sound of Music. Okay.
I'm going to start by a really obvious one.
Okay.
And this is Castles of Burgundy. I think this is an essential game. It's my favorite game of all time. And it's like, it's always been a game that I really, really think is amazing. And this is on my list because I think it's good.
It's essential.
Yes, essential. But all list with respect for itself needs to have like a felt game.
Yes, like for example, top 10 Ameritrash games you would have.
Needs to have a felt game. Well, but a list like this. So this is like my felt representative.
Okay.
And Castles of Burgundy is not a two-player game, but it's a really good game at 2 players, which I really think is good to have in a collection.
And you can play it forever, and there's many different maps, so many things you can do.
Yes.
Did you kind of have like, oh, I should have one of these kind of games, one of these kind of games?
Kind of. But I don't have like every category.
No.
It's more than 10 categories of games anyways.
And of course, like when I did top 10 heavy games lately, we don't play war games. We don't play a lot of Ameritrash games. We don't play that many co-op games. So this is obviously from us. If you are in the same place in the Venn diagram that we are, this might be top 10 essential games for you. My number 10 is going to be a cheat because it's 2 games. But it's kind of the same game because it's Wingspan/Wyrmspan.
Okay, cool.
Because I liked Wyrmspan better than I liked Wingspan, but the Wingspan has all the expansions. So you can basically get that and you can play it forever. Wingspan is a fantastic game. It's not my favorite game of all time, but I think it's an essential game. I think it's one that you can play over and over and over. It has that good balance of luck and strategy, tactics, making cool combos, all of these different things that makes it a game that I think it's a staple in our hobby. And I think it's going to be like a staple in everybody's collection.
Yes,
Which is kind of like, as we said, the reason for this game. So for me, that was like one of the first things I thought about when I made this. This was, Wingspan should be on the list.
Yeah, cool. I totally forgot that Wingspan existed. But it's a great pick for this list.
That is the problem with all the different games. But the good thing is when you forget games, we can have more games on the list.
That's true. My number 9 is Le Havre, and this, as also Castles of Burgundy, both of these were on the list the last time we made an essential list as well. And all great lists with respect for itself need to have a UV Rosenberg game on it. So this is my UV Rosenberg game.
So that's the
slot.
reason. That was like,
Well,
I don't really like it,
I
Harvard,
really-
but it has to have a Uwe Rosenberg game on the
It
list.
is my favorite UV Rosenberg game.
That's wrong.
Yeah, I know you disagree, but I think that this is such a cool resource management, like a worker placement, but just with one worker, and a lot of variability with the different
Yes.
cards and the order that comes up. So I think this is a great game to have in every collection.
Yes. Of course, we don't mean that every single collection should have all of these games.
No.
Because it depends on what you like. It's not
Yes.
like if you watch this and you're new to board games, you have to go and buy
I
all the
need
games.
to buy all these games now.
But they're great games. Okay, so my number 9 is gonna be, because I was kind of trying to feel like, okay, but I need one of these kind of games. And one of these categories is a trick-taking game. Because we like trick-taking games. And there are a lot of weird like Asian trick-taking games. Those are not on this list. But there's a lot of weird, great trick-taking games that we have played. It's like, but now you have to stand on your head to be able to play the card. And the
not
card
played
has
that.
to be on your face, and it's a 6, but then it's on the table, it's a 1, like all these kind of things. But there was two kind of contenders for this pick, and for me, I ended up landing on Rebel Princess, which is a super fun, quirky little trick-taking game. But it is, if you have played like Hearts, you have played like some other games, it's very easy to get into, but it has a lot of variability, and it just like has the coolest, funnest theme. So it is a very straightforward trick-taking game, but the only thing you don't want to do is to get points, basically. So there's only a few cards that gives points, and you don't want to win those tricks, win those in them, because then you will get those points. And then you're gonna play X amount of rounds, I think that's 5 rounds, and every round is gonna be a different rule, so every round basically has its own twist. Which basically this round says, now the lowest card wins, or now you have to play 2 cards in the trick, or now you have to do all these different things. So it's kind of as wonky as you want it to be, and it also has a lot of replayability.
Yeah, cool. Now I want to know the contender for the spot.
Yeah, because this could basically be a slash and Skulking on the
Okay,
other
cool.
side. Because
Yes.
Skulking is very straightforward and a lot of fun.
Absolutely. My number 8 is Bros, and you can pick whatever version you want of this, Lancashire or Birmingham. This was also on my top 10 essential last
Did you
time.
just copy your list?
No, I didn't. I made one and then I set them side by side. I'm just
Okay.
like, there are crossovers. I would expect that. I'm not a completely different person since the last time I made
No,
it.
that's true.
But Bros is an amazing game. And I think that, Le Havre is pretty like meaty game as well. But Bros has a lot of interaction. It's meaty, it's thinky. It has these really cool moments where you have to have the board in a particular state to do the things that you want to. It's an economic game. So this is not a game for everybody. But if you are into this genre or like heaviness of games, I think Bros is an essential one.
And it has a lot of depth and
Yes.
not that much of a rule overhead, like compared to other games in the category.
Yes.
And my next one is going to be a drawing game, and it's going to be Pictomania. And this again is like, I have my 2 drawing games that it's basically one of these 2.
You're
but
cheating a lot today.
No, because I'm not going to say the other
I'm
one.
just kidding.
You know what the other one is.
I know what the other one is.
But the thing is that if I had to choose, I would have to choose this. And on the top list, I kind of have to choose, even though it's our channel, I can cheat as much as I
Yes,
want
that's
to.
true.
Top 10 is actually 25 games. No, but Pictomania is if I were to keep only one drawing game, and this isn't a game with the list where I pick only one game of each thing, but it would be Pictomania. Because Pictomania, even though it's like a bit harder to teach than other drawing games, it's worth it, but it's best played, I would say, like with adults. Like, or you can play like very simply, but it's not like a kid's Doodle Dash would be more like a family style.
Yeah.
This is more like the serious drawing game for serious people who like to laugh a lot. Seriously laughing. Where you have to draw weirder and weirder things, and there's a card with like 6 things on it, or 7 or whatever, I don't remember, different things on it, and you have to draw one of them, which you get a card and you get to draw one of them, but you have to try to differentiate it from the other things. In the beginning it's easy because it's like apple, pear, orange, but then it's going to be like myth, legend, story,
Tale.
fairy tale.
Yeah.
And those are harder to differentiate in a drawing, and you also want to draw quick because you want to get it done so you can start guessing on the others, because the faster you guess, if you guess correctly, the more points you get. And you also want people to guess yours, because or else you're going to lose points. Fantastic games. It's been too long since we played it. Need to play it again.
Yeah, it's amazing. My number 7 was also on the list last time. I have a lot of crossovers
Yes,
with myself.
The last time we did this, like, we don't have to reference to it so much because, like, most of the people watching
Oh
this
yeah, but I'm
didn't even
stopping
know
soon. I'm stopping soon. Terraforming Mars.
Okay.
Terraforming Mars is a very a big game. You are terraforming Mars.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
Is that the
you
theme?
are having a lot of resources that you can produce. It's like you're having an economy that you have to manage, and you are getting a lot of different cards and buying them and utilizing their effects. So what I think is so cool and unique about this game is that you're doing the same thing every time. You're trying to raise the temperature, trying to get the water out, and also another thing that oxygen.
Yes.
We need oxygen.
Or else we will die.
Yes, we do. What? How could I forget? But you feel like you are forging your own path every time, because you're thinking like, oh, this card works perfectly with my strategy. I have this corporation who wants to do this and this, and you kind of. It's a really cool game because you feel like you're doing cool stuff when you get to decide which path you are doing yourself. This is a longer game. We played it at 5 once. I hated every second of it. Yes, but with the different maps, the different milestones you can play with, it has a lot of expansions. It's a cool game.
My next one is going to be one of the heaviest on the list, which is Age of Innovation. Age of Innovation is fairly new. Was it this year or last year? I don't remember. Okay, might be last year. Fantastic game, a revamp basically of Terra Mystica, changing things, making it a bit less tight, which is also could be nice for new players because Terra Mystica is so hard the first times you play it, and then you hadn't played it in a while and you think this is fun, and then you get beat up by the game. And Age of Innovation is still pretty heavy and still a lot of things to do, but they have changed out a few things that makes it a bit looser in ways, but also, except for that, I like, and maybe even that, I like every single change they did into this game. It has a lot of variability, which makes it so that you can play it again and again and again and explore strategies. I know people play Terra Mystica probably like thousands of times and still learn new things. And there's so many different powers you can play with. You are expanding on a map, trying to outmaneuver your opponents, to not get in their way, but not get too much in their way so they block you off. All of these different things that you do, trying to move on tracks, doing Euro stuff, getting points, because points is what you want. Points is life.
Yeah.
And that's why it's on the list.
Age of Innovation is an amazing game, and I feel like
Thumbs
Terra
up.
Mystica is such a classic that it absolutely deserves a spot on this list. I was so close to putting them on. I think maybe it was a 2024 release. I can't remember. I was
No.
very sure, but now I'm unsure again.
Yes.
My number 6 is your pick of a soul game, basically. I've chosen Summer Pavilion for this list.
Yep.
I think also the Queen's Garden is really nice, but for this list, this essential list, I think Summer Pavilion...
Oh, is this the essential list?
Yeah, this is essential list. It's like my pick, but you can go for whatever you want. You pick your favorite, but I think like a soul has quickly become this... like an instant classic, one of the newer classic within the board game genre for like the abstract game genre.
Yes.
So that's why it is on my list.
And it also made abstract games more available and
accessible.
more like accessible for people and more enjoyable for people because it has actual art on them and not just like pieces, which we love,
That's
but
really
not
nice.
for everyone. My next one is going to be Brass Birmingham. I chose here. So I actually did choosing instead of just being like, or this one, or this one.
I picked all of those whole games.
Brass Birmingham is a very, very good game, basically for all the reasons we just spoke about. It has a fantastic card play. It's very tactical in the way where you have a long-term strategy, but sometimes you're going to be like, okay, but because that is empty now. Maybe I want to build this now, change my strategy so I can get those income and get that money now so that I later can build more things. And it has this very cool 2-stage play where you play like the first stage of the game and you try to build up your infrastructure, your economy, your buildings, and then most of it's going to crumble depending on what you choose to do in the first part of the game. And then you try to build up from that and try to get even more stuff in the second round, which is more open and you can do like even more or whatever you want. It's a very interactive game. It's even more, I think, like with the beer in the Birmingham version. You have to be very careful about building that if you don't really want people to use it, because then it will be good. And it's just like it is one of my favorite games of all time, and I think it is a classic, one of the games that I think everyone should own, which is the tagline. Oh yes,
it is.
Crossover time. It's a crossover time. Done. Next up. On Board Gaming Ramblings.
My number 5 is new to this list. It did not make the list last time, and I don't know why, because it is Medici or Medici, and this is a it feels like it's a Knizia game. Every list with
respect for itself.
Knizia game. You need a Knizia game in your life. There's many to choose from, but I've chosen Medici for this list, and
it's forever Medici for me.
Yes.
I will never call it anything else.
It is like a bidding game. It is a bidding game.
Yes. It's not like a bidding game, it is actually
But it also feels like kind of a push your luck game.
Yes.
Because you are each round auctioning off goods in like a boat.
Yes.
And you have only like 5 spaces in your boat and you're filling those up. And in the beginning you are mostly auctioning off these like groups of 3 usually. You don't have to do that, but you want a lot of stuff.
Yes.
And then later, when you only have room for maybe 2 and other people are still looking for these groups of 3, you can't join in anymore.
That's true.
And you're then like trying to see, okay, this batch is good, but do I really want like all these 3 cards? Because then it takes up the spots for potentially better cards, and then you might wait too long. And the stack is getting empty.
Yeah.
And you're basically trying to climb on these tracks to get majorities, to get points. It's a really fun game.
It is. And it's also my number 5.
Cool!
Medici
Is it a perfect crossover?
Perfect crossover.
Woohoo!
Cha-la-la-la-la. Perfect crossover. Cha-la-la-la-la. Yes. It's a fantastic game. I really like it. I think Medici is a very fun game. It's the one we always wanted to do a top 5 player game.
Yes.
And this is the one I always think about. And I was
Yes.
like, we're 5,
Spoiler
let's play
alert.
that. So it's like always on the top of my list when it comes to those kind of games. Just pure fun, very quick, very easy to teach, highly enjoyable.
My number 4 is the White Castle.
Okay.
This is a new game in our collection in general. Was it last year?
Yes.
So it's not been on the list before, obviously. But the White Castle is a wonderful game because it combines some really cool mechanisms, and it's really like short and sweet. It's like not the shortest game, but
it's not the longest game either. It's in
you
the
have very
middle.
few actions, so you're trying to like squeeze out as much as you can of every single one. So you're drafting dice, and you're placing those dice as workers, and then depending on the value, you either get coins for placing it there or you have to pay for it. And you're also trying to then place your meeples into the different areas to go for different bonuses or scorings throughout the game. So this is a game that really quickly rose up to be one of my favorite games in general. And I think it's wonderful, and I think it's suitable for many different kinds of players.
My next one is going to be a co-op game, because I'm thinking like a collection needs a co-op game, sadly. But when they do need a co-op game, it should be a campaign game, because those are actually fun. So, if you don't know, I don't really like co-op games. If that wasn't clear from what I just said. If you do, okay.
Good for you.
Yes, my pick is going to be then Gloomhaven, Jaws of the Lion. Because it's a great, like, I think like, it should be like Frosthaven. That's like a huge thing. It's not essential. I don't think everyone should own Frosthaven.
I agree.
But Gloomhaven, Jaws of the Lion is like a fantastic introduction to those kind of games.
Yeah.
So even though this isn't like this could also have been on like a top 10 games you should start your
Start a
collection
collection
with.
with, yeah.
But this I feel like is essential in that way where you can see, oh, this is something I like, and then research other campaign games and choose which ones you actually want to play. Because Jaws of the Lion has this fantastic way of learning a Gloomhaven basically, which I would have liked there to be when
Yes.
Gloomhaven first came out, because
Yep.
I had to read 50 pages of rulebooks, and back then that was a lot. Now that's breakfast, but then it was hard, and I spent so much time, and I think we played the first 15, 20 times wrong. I played 100 times now, so it's gotten better. But Gloomhaven, Jaws of the Lion, is really, really good in that way. It loses some of the unlocking characters and stuff like that, which I love from Gloomhaven, but it has the core system and eases you into that, which makes it so that I feel like it's an essential game.
Yeah, and even though it's like a simplified version kind of Gloomhaven Frosthaven, it's no means a gateway game. It still has the meat and potatoes, which is the intricate card play that you have to manage. So I think that's a great pick. My number 3 is a game I was a little unsure of putting this here, because this is it's a 2024 release.
Dun, dun, dun.
And just what? It's spectacular, but it's a really cool game.
It's
like the more I
spectacular.
play it, I demoed this at Spiel.
Yes.
So if I would be tired of this game, I would be tired now.
Yes.
But it's a great game because you can play it in like 20 minutes with 6 players.
Or
And
30. I don't think you can play it.
and there's a lot of games that you can play with a higher player count or takes a short amount of time, but this is one of the games lately that I've found to be like really accessible to many different kinds of players. You can play it with families, or you could, if you are gamers, yeah.
Gamers.
You can what do you call it? Include achievements,
Yes.
which really turns up like the difficulty of the puzzle.
To 11.
Yeah, a lot, I think. And you basically draft dice and place tiles, which is two of my favorite elements of this game. And you're trying to place them in such a way that your dice score your points at the end of the game.
That's good.
I think it's really cool to draft because it's simultaneous, but you're always like, you have a little, what do you call it? A common pool that you are rotating around. So what you can draft from is always changing.
Great game. My number 3 is going to be an older game and one that I always love to play. It's not your favorite game, but it's one that I feel is an essential game in that category of, if you are a Eurogamer and you're thinking, is there something more? The answer is of course no, but if you're thinking about it, you could like maybe put a little feet into the water and play Blood Rage. Blood Rage is a fantastic game. It has miniatures, but the miniatures are actually just cubes. They're just resource cubes. So just know that. That made the game actually better for you when you were just like, there's not actual people,
Yes,
it's just
these
a cube.
cubes have no feelings.
Yes, it looks like a big piece, but it has cubes because cubes are best. Blood Rage is a game that we had for a long time. I think it came out now over 10 years ago. A very good game where you are drafting cards. So much of the strategy, of course, lies in the drafting. So when you play it with somebody who hasn't played before, you might win because you know the cards. But it's one of those games that gets better and better, and you will start blocking, hate drafting, all of that. Then you have a very tactical map game where you place pieces, you move them around. Some strategies you want to lose battles, some strategies you really want to win battles. And there's so many things to go for. You try to move into places, get area control to get bonuses. All of this in a pretty... When you play it a lot of the times, you can play it pretty quickly, and it is a very, very good game. And I like good games.
Yeah, and as my friend says, it's kind of like Ticket to Ride, only with
Boats.
ships.
Yes. We have a few games left, I think 2.
Yes, or 4.
Or 4, depending on if you have crossovers.
My number 2 is like my co-op game of the list, but it's also kind of my party game of the list, and it's hard to get.
Okay.
Because I think that every list with... No, I'm just kidding. I have to stop it now. But it's like a lighter game. You can bring it to everyone. Anyone.
You can bring it to anyone. You can, like, there's no, like,
Yes.
there's nowhere in the world, like, Okay, you can't bring Hard to Get here. It's actually illegal, so you can't actually bring it to
And
anyone.
I'm thinking about if there's some place that
Yes.
is illegal, but I think that my point is clear. It's a word game, and I think this replaces, or I know this replaces Codenames for me, because you have one clue giver, but you don't have to like come up with a word yourself. You're trying to search for like one of the target words in the grid, and you are then choosing between two options to give your clue. So it's kind of like a mix between Similo, which is also a great game if you haven't played it, and
Codenames.
Yes, thank you. So Hard to Get is like the perfect game in that genre for me, and so I think everybody should play it.
This was almost on my list,
Oh, almost.
but I kind of played it too much in a short time.
Oh yeah.
So the last time we played, I was like, I don't need to play this for a little while. It's a fantastic game.
It is, but we played it a lot.
And also, I've been like the clue giver too many times.
Yeah.
Because that is fine, but it's more fun to actually play the game. Yes.
Objection.
Yes.
Objection.
Yes.
You are every time saying,
Yes.
I want to be the clue giver
That
because
because
you think that is more fun.
No,
You do.
I disagree with myself.
Yes, that's
Yes.
okay.
And also because when I'm not in the actual pool of people trying to guess, people discuss too much.
Yes,
And
you are
that
better to make
happens-
the decisions happening.
And that is why I hate co-op games, basically. It's because you speak too much about this little decision. Should we take out this card? Let's speak about that for 5 minutes. It's not the end of the world. Just do a choice, and then you can start over if you lose. It's not a problem. But yeah, I played it. I love the game. And like we have like 5 copies laying out there now
Yes,
because
we
we
do.
bought them and we're going to give them away. Because it's a great game, but just like right now it didn't end up on this list, and I was pretty sure you were going to have it.
Yes.
So my number 2 is going to be a little card game from 2024 called Flip 7.
Cool.
Flip 7 we have played already 25 times, something like that, and it's just pure fun. This is one of those games where you don't need to teach the rules. You just start playing and you teach the rules as they go. We can play it with 4 people, you can play it with 9 people. The rulebook says if you're playing with more than 18, you should have like a different deck, like 2 decks at once. So if you are playing with more than 18, I don't think you should. You should probably then split up to 2 tables of 18. Oh, we're 36. What should we do? Let's split up to 2 tables. We can play Flip 7. Flip 7 is basically a push-your-luck game. You are getting a card in front of you with a number. If that number is the same number as another card you have in front of you, you bust and you're out of the round. If not, you can, next time somebody wants to give you a card, or the dealer, not somebody, it's like a random person, you can either pause or you can get another card. And that is basically it. There's some action cards, there's some bonus cards, all of that, but that is the pure thing of the game. Trying to get to 200 points. A lot of laughing, a lot of fun, just like very simple, and one that I think will always stay in my collection as an essential game that I think everyone should know.
I wholeheartedly agree.
Disagree.
Though my number 1 is not Flip 7.
So you
it could
don't
have been,
think it is
well,
an
yes, I
essential
do.
game?
I do. I just also think these others are.
Okay.
My number 1 is kind of a cheat because I feel like these 2 games represent the same thing that I want in this list. So at first I put Bruxelles 1893.
Okay.
But then I just like think, but Federation also does the same thing and kind of like fresher-ish, but Bruxelles is this like classical one. But the thing is about these games is that they are like the ultimate worker placement games because you have so many reasons for where you want to place. You want to place there to do the action, but you also want to have the majority in the row or column or in that area of the board. And so you're thinking so many like, okay, if I go there, you might go there, so because there is so many copies of these action.
Yeah.
So which one should I try to wait around and do the other thing that I really want to like hope that you don't block that action space for me? And you also have these, for example, Federation is coming with a new expansion soon.
Yes!
Bruxelles.
Check out our vlog from Spiel.
Yes.
You will see the people from Federation on the picture and you can
also
learn
the
more.
game. Yes.
And the game.
Not
yes.
only the people. But also Bruxelles came out with a new version now with a lot of extra stuff. You have a lot of
expansion.
variability. Yes, with a variability with both games. They're both amazing, both in my top 20 of all time. maybe in my top 10 of all time.
Who knows?
They're really good, but they're like the essential worker placement games.
Boom! My number one is gonna be a crossover because it's a Castles of Burgundy, obviously. Because, and you see, I didn't have a single Uwe Rosenberg game on this
You
list.
didn't!
Dun, dun,
You
dun.
have no respect for the
Next
list.
up, it's top 10 essential Uwe Rosenberg games. Here we go. My number one is a Castles of Burgundy because it's the best game. It's not the best, but it's almost the best game. It is one of those games where I could just play it forever. I have almost played it forever. I think we played it 50 times, which is a lot for us. We played it a lot when we got into the hobby. And it's one of those games where it will always be cozy. I would like to play it now. I would like to play it tomorrow. I would like to play it all the time because it's a fantastic game. The balance of the luck, the strategy, mitigating the dice rolls, trying to get the right pieces, building up your map, so many different maps, now with different expansions. The new beautiful version of with the 3D things are just one of my favorite games. Looks amazing, and it's just a pure fun game. And those are the games.
Yes.
Those were pretty different lists.
Yeah.
Oh, crossover for the castles of
yes.
crossing Burgundy. And maybe it was maybe 3 crossovers, I think.
Yeah.
Brass.
Brass.
Castle Burgundy,
Yes.
and the third one,
Yes.
Medici.
Medici.
Yes, Medici. I think those were the 3 only ones, which are pretty cool, which gives you more for your no money. So that is great. You can subscribe. Do it. It's also free, and it's great because you can see more videos and we get subscribers. So that is going to be the end. I think this was fun. Let us know what is your top 10 essential games in the comments, and of course, let us know how wrong we are in our picks. That is going to be the end. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Johannes.
I'm Selma.
And you've been watching Board Gaming Ramblings, and bye-bye.